everybody else, and I'm going to keep you on chatting. Okay.
Okay.
Because Roger does my head in, right? He's like an old man on acid, right? Steve, I don't know what Steve's on about most of the time. Richard talks crap. So, it's a night of insults. So what I'm going to say is that as of next week, we're going to be doing another 8, and we're going to be looking at. I had this written down. We're going to be looking at alternate. Oh God, what's this word here? Alternate activities, alternate trades, alternate crafts, things that we wouldn't normally look at, and we're going to put them into the sort of landscape of archaeology and history. So that's what we're going to be doing next week, another 8, right? So we've had 10 classes altogether when we should have had 8. We had 2 weeks that were really bad because of reception. So hopefully you're all going to be rejoining. So I'm gonna mention this now. Roger, Steve, Richard, and Bill, if you can send the £32 over, that would be brilliant. Is that okay? Got that?
So you're getting worried now, no one's answering.
Well, there is one thing, Pete. Right, Bill.
Yes,
all right.
yes.
I'm muted.
Okay, if we want to do this properly, right, I'm gonna ask to unmute, right? Roger, are you carrying on?
Yes, I was muted. You knocked me off.
Yeah, because I didn't want to hear your annoying voice.
Well, how do I say yes then if I can't talk to you?
Yeah, but I tell you what, right, Roger, right, I had a whole lecture last night. Every single couple of minutes you kept butting in, right, with stupid comments.
Well, you just asked me. If I say yes,
that's fine. All right. So, oh God. Okay, Roger, send us a check for 32 quid. Are you going to do that?
Okay, Carly. Yeah.
Right. Hey, I'm sick of this creeping. Right. I'm getting worried about you. Steve,
Creeping.
Are you continuing?
Yes, I am. I'll send you a bank.
So you're going to send it over via the bank, yeah? Good. And what about you, Bill?
Yeah, I'll send a rubber check in the post, Carl. Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I would ask you seriously, to try to resolve the breaker problem, the technical problems on transmission.
Yeah.
Because you haven't really resolved it yet.
Well, it seems to be working at this minute. I've spent an hour on the phone to Tesco's today.
Tesco.
Yeah,
Why?
no, it's Tesco's mobile. Yeah.
Oh.
I spent a whole hour on the phone to Tesco's mobile today, and they said it's fine, everything's okay, right? I've set up I've set up the fairly new, expensive computer that we've got here, only to realise that the rather expensive camera that we've got and the mic is broken, so that's not good. So mind you, last week we actually taught via we taught in the van in Barry, and that seemed to go okay. So it's going okay now, so that's fine. So I'm not gonna push it, right? So I want to do comets this week, and what we've got is a few images. I'm going to do the images, and I'm going to do the talking, right? And as I do the talking, the resources that I've got, I'm going to delete to see if I can change the bandwidth. So when we think about comets in history, what comet in history are we directly talking about, Bill? And you don't get this wrong.
Hale-Bopp was the last big one, about 15 years ago. But you're probably talking about Halley's comet.
Yeah, nobody likes to show off, Bill.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but I like to show off sometimes, Carl.
Yeah, but
Halley's comet. Halley's comet.
You put that one in as a red herring, though, didn't you? But the weird thing is about Halley's comet, Halley's comet, not Halley's. God,
Halley's, yeah.
The big thing about Halley's comet is it's named way after the first time it was actually seen. It was only first recorded 2,000 years ago, and it's seen every 75 years. So if you're lucky enough, you might see it twice in a lifetime, right? That's I've seen it once, and maybe I might see it again. So there's my longevity. So I want us to look at some images first, and then I'm going to talk at you with what we've got. Pete can't make it this week because apparently Roger upset him last week. But what's new? You know what I mean? By the way, Roger's not allowed on the next trip. He's banned. Right? He's not allowed to go.
Where's Roger now? I'm sure he'll respond to that.
Yeah, but
I'm
no,
not allowed to, Bill. I can't say anything.
Oh, okay then.
he's not. Oh God, he's banned from going on the next trip.
Yeah, but my missus.
Yeah, but your missus got rid of you because the trip was because you started flirting with Jessica in front of her, and I told you not to do that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Of course, yes. All these women I've got. A lot. Chasing them all. You guess.
Didn't you have a wicked way with Anne once? Right, we've got to get on with the lecture, right?
Yeah,
Come on, let's go.
Now, one thing I want to mention, right, is that lots of comets, and we're going to talk about asteroids as well, a comet and asteroid strikes. And the reason I'm doing this is as unusual. It sort of peers in with the human transition of change. I thought this would be a nice one to end with the 8 that we've done. Now, these little lines are actually referring to a very strange event. Now, this very strange event occurred over 13,000 years ago, and it's known as the Younger Driest period. Now, this Driest period, this Younger Driest period, is a period in history that we see that there's some kind of event, there's some kind of asteroid that hits the planet, right? And this is recorded all those thousands of years ago, and it's recorded in the archaeology, it's recorded in the ice cores. Right, we're going to come back to this, but I just want to get these images done. Now, what we've got recorded in ancient Egypt, we've got this, and you can see the little dots there on that.
Carl,
Carl,
we got no pictures.
Oh my God! Why didn't you
Pop
tell
up.
me? I didn't do you.
we just did.
No, shut up! Why didn't somebody tell me you weren't seeing pictures?
Well, we
You
are
did.
now.
I think
What, you are
doing
seeing-
now.
I just turned it off. Oh, you guys are absolute numpties. I'm sick of it. Right, can you see this now?
Yeah, now we
Yeah.
can see the comet.
What is
No.
it?
What? What do you mean? What is it? It's there. There it is.
We can see
It's
it.
in. Oh God! Please help! It's in the middle of the screen, right? There's a circle thing with dots around it. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I'm sick of your lack of enthusiasm. Right. There it is, and this is recorded in. And what we've got is these references in history. Now, this is another one. Now, this is a coin of Emperor Augustus, and you can tell it's a coin of Emperor Augustus because it's got Augustus on it, Rog.
We can't see it.
That's it. All it says is a pile of dots on a bit of rubbish.
Yeah.
Oh. God, help me. I don't have to do this every week. I really don't. Right, are you seeing this image now?
Not seeing a coin.
Circles.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, this is not. I tell you what, my sound is working fine now, but everything else has got the pop. It's like, right, okay, what? Right, okay, well, we're going to start again. Right, we're going to start again. Right, get these bloody images. Oh, no. I tell you what, we could do a good comedy routine, me and Rog.
What?
Maybe he might come up on the stage and hit me.
Mm.
Can you see
Oh.
that?
Now we've got the coins.
Now we
Yeah.
got it. Hold it. Hold it there.
Oh, yeah. We can see Augustus now.
Don't cock nothing up.
Right. This coin celebrates the assassination of his predecessor, Julius Caesar. Right,
Oh.
Octavian, otherwise known as Augustus, became the supreme emperor of the Roman Empire, and Augustus himself would venerate Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar's death, as we know, the Ides of March, and it's the year 44 BC. And apparently, there was a flaming star in the sky that was a portent of the death of Julius Caesar. Right, so this is being recorded. The comet being seen in the sky is seen to be a woad, a portent of bad things to come. Right, so what we've got here, this image is associated with a chronicler known as Tidy Breyer. And this was in 1577. So what you've got lots of people recording these things. I want to get onto the text. I've got so much to tell you, right? Roger's not interfering with me at this minute. And this, we've got a record of an asteroid strike on a village in Syria over 10,000 years ago. And you know, it's miniature civilizations seem to have been wiped out by these events, changing the linear line, the course of history, the course of history changing because of these events. This comes into the line, this comes into that aspect, this comes into the history and archaeology. This is why we're doing it tonight. And Bill, do I need to ask you what that is?
It's a coin, the reverse and obverse of the coin. Yeah.
Oh no, I've changed the images and I'll show it. Oh my God. It's not going well.
Nice and calm.
Roger, it's not going well anymore. It's all gone wrong.
Yeah, we just had the coins.
Yeah, fine.
No, I was talking about other images, and it just don't work. Hang on, right? Okay, what we're going to do? We're going to see if we can get the other images up. Right. So we're going to get the other. Oh.
Yeah, you were talking about the asteroid strike on Syrian village.
Yeah, but
the images of the coins.
I didn't show you the image. Right. Okay. What we're going to do? Right. We're gonna go here. Right. Oh my dearie me. Right. What are you seeing on your screen?
For foxgloves.
Bill, Steve, and a bush.
The only reason Steve does this is because of the comedy aspect. I don't think
you've done this deliberately, haven't you?
Yeah.
I was hoping that somebody would come and punch me in the face, to be honest with you. I was just hoping that would happen.
We've got the weather forecast now as well.
Oh, that's right.
What?
We've got the weather forecast as well now.
What about this? The younger Driest. Have you got that?
COVID.
Have you got this image on you now?
Yeah, it's overlapped by something else, which is irrelevant.
What's this? Are you see? Right. Are you seeing this image now?
Yeah,
this
yes.
What?
Get rid of the overlap, Carl. There's an overlap on there.
What overlap? Oh my God! Right. Okay. Right. Okay. What?
Oh, Bill, Steve, Bush.
Karl-James.
Right. Okay. Right. What are you seeing?
The boys.
Right there. The coins. Yeah.
No.
No.
Bill and
What?
Steve, I can see in the bush. What?
I've got to get my composure. I just don't know what's going on. Right, are you seeing the coins now, please?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Go on.
Now, this is that carving on the stone. Yeah, which Roger said with loaded dots on a piece of crap. That's recording. That's recording a comet, right? We've seen that, right? This is the coin of Augustus. A celebration of when the comet was seen, a portent of Julius Caesar's death, right? And this is a chronicler who's writing, known as Breyer, in 1577, right? So he's recording these events, and he's basically recording the transect, the 75-year transect of Halley's comet. And this image that you're seeing in front of you now is about a village that was lost and recorded as being lost in Syria down to an asteroid strike. Now, this all flows in with change and alteration of Earth's history, and that's why I wanted to do it. And Bill, what is this? Tell me, what is this, Bill?
That is Halley's comet on the Bayeux Tapestry.
Oh.
Look, yeah, that's correct. Right, Bill, this is a trick question. Where was the Bayeux Tapestry produced?
In France, by Bishop Odo, I believe.
But some people believe that it may have actually been made over here, then shipped over there, or it
Possibly,
was British craftsmen. That's the point.
Yeah.
and basically this itself, this image itself is that they're all pointing up into the sky and they're going, look at that up there, look at that. And it was a portent because what it was Harold had come onto the throne, and when he was crowned, it was a portent of doom, that there was going to be something terrible happening in 1066, and this was a thing, and it led to that very dramatic event on the 14th of October in the year 1066, which was the Battle of Hastings. The big question is, which side would you have fought on, Bill?
It all depends where I was born, Carl.
Well, that's true. That's a good answer to the question. So what we're going to do now, I've done the images, right? Because I want us to do loads of text, right? I don't know how I'm going to do it, right? But there you go. Everything's probably going to go completely wrong now when I look at my sources, but it might not, right? So what we've got now, oh, here we go. I don't sound like a Dalek yet. And right, now this is quite a dramatic statement. Comet strike may have sparked key shift in human civilization. Yeah, good. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Good. Now this is like 13,000 years ago. Now I mentioned the Younger Dryas, right? Basically, the Younger Dryas, I didn't give you much detail at all, but the Younger Dryas was a period when the Ice Age ended 12,000 years ago. But what happened, right, was the Ice Age was slowly coming to an end, and suddenly there was a cold snap within the end of the Ice Age, right? A massive cold snap, and then suddenly it just cooled. It started warming about 12,000 years ago, right? So that sort of end of the Ice Age, that very end, that dying end of the Ice Age, there was like a snap of 1,000 years when it was really, really cold, and then it just got warm again, right? So that, and we're talking about 12,000 years ago. So what we do believe now, this is a bone of contention. What is the difference between a comet and an asteroid? Right, a comet is something which is on a regular transect around the planet, and then you've got asteroids that seem to come out of nowhere. Right now, this headline says comet strike may have sparked key shift in human civilization. I'm thinking maybe the headline should be a cluster of asteroid fragments believed to have hit the Earth. That's what I would say. Anyway, whatever hit the Earth, right? Whatever you want to call them, these big boulders from the heavens. You can imagine this big boulder from the heavens. It's like a big fat woman sitting on you. You don't know where it's come from. It'd be a bit of a shock, right? So possibly the most devastating, sorry, that was a bad analogy. Possibly the most devastating cosmic impact since the extinction of the dinosaurs on the 14th of August, 66 million years ago. I remember it well. This is the thing. It almost as if there's like the Ice Age is coming to an end, and suddenly there's like these big asteroids hit the planet, right? And it shifts us for 1,000 years, and things get cold for 1,000 years, and then suddenly the Ice Age ends properly, right? If these asteroids hadn't hit the planet when they did, right, and my notes are saying that it was comets that hit the Earth. No, it's asteroids. That's from what I understand. Whatever these boulders were from the heavens, if they hadn't hit the planet when they did, human civilization would be 1,000 years ahead of where it is today, right? So basically, I don't know. Just think. I would be teaching from a spacecraft, and you would be in the room with me, but it would be virtual. So it would be 1,000 years ahead. And actually, I wouldn't even be doing this. I would be in your minds talking, right? And you'd be able to see me directly in your head, right? So if these things hadn't hit, shut up, Carl. If these things hadn't hit, human civilization would be 1,000 years more in advanced than when it is today, right? So this interesting research has only come to us from last year. They'd only been talking about this last year, right? We know about the Younger Dryas. We've always known about the Younger Dryas. When I say we've always known, for the past few decades, we've known about the Younger Dryas. We know that the ice age was coming to an end, and then something suddenly happened, and it got cold, right, for 1,000 years. So this analysis is backed up in research and also when we look at places like Egypt, Iraq, and Lebanon, something very strange happened. And you know, when we talk about history and archaeology, and we're actually doing prehistory at this minute, nobody really ever asked the question, why did we start farming? Why did things change? Why did we start living in permanent settlements, right? And the scientists believe it was all to do with this really weird thing that happened at the end of the ice age, right? And this really weird thing that happened at the end of the ice age may have had the effect of wiping out all our large animals. For example, well, it didn't happen overnight, because what happened, it's almost as if we've got all these massive aurochs and huge mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses, and you've got massive elks that are partly the size of a house, you know, all these different things, right? And then weirdly enough, we always blame humans for the wiping out of these animals, but I'm never really sure about that. I never blame human beings for the wiping out of any key species, because even when you look at buffaloes in North America, they were actively slaughtered, but they're still around, right? Even with guns, they weren't able to wipe them all out. They are still there in North America. So something happened, right? So these animals were adapted to the cold conditions, but they were still wiped out. So how were they wiped out? They must have been wiped out by an event that is unexplainable. Now, this catastrophic strike has been the subject of a heated debate and much academic research for at least at least 15 years or more, right? And people have been thinking, right, where's all this come from? And now they're saying a team of experts say a large body of evidence supports the theory that there was a major strike from the heavens 13,000 years ago. And what they're doing, they're looking at geological data and they're looking at ice cores. And what they are also finding, what happens when something hits from the heavens? Fragments, right? They're actually starting to find very large fragments of an alien object that's hit from the heavens. No, Roger, not alien spacecraft. Forget about that. We're not doing X-Files, right? When I mean alien, something from space, right? Roger's a bit silly like that. This massive, absolutely huge asteroid, right? I loathe to call it a comet because it's saying it was a comet that hit the planet, but you know, and a big rock. This is why I keep going to this. And what they're doing, they're working out that there's these bits of rock, that they're the same bits of rock spread around the planet in a certain layer, approximately dating back to 13,000 years ago. And they're seeing this and they're analyzing it. And whatever this alien thing hit the planet, it had high levels of platinum. And signs of materials melted at extreme high temperatures, which are called nanodiamonds. So this itself is something that hit, and there was this thing coming from the heavens, and there was a high energy explosion, and obviously that high energy explosion that hit the Earth at that time would have caused excessive heats anyway, turning some metals into something completely different. So what we're seeing this, and it moved the trajectory of human history. It moved the timeline, the line, that linear line that keeps shifting and going off in a little sort of log flume up and down and moving, right? And again, how does this explain that? How does this explain that human beings suddenly go from hunter-gatherer to full-blown civilization? It's quite strange. It's really strange. It might be that without these big animals, human beings have to go out there and they have to survive. And this is a thing, isn't it? When you're put, as you're put in a situation, when human beings are put in situations and they're told, right, you've got to survive now on a desert island, and you're thinking, bloody hell, what am I going to do on a desert island? How am I going to survive, right? You can die, right? You're used to living in a house with electricity and gas and flowing water, right? and then suddenly you're left in a field and you're told to survive, right? And you can do it. Yeah. And this is what happens when there's major changes. This is what happens. So what we do have, the other thing as well is, this is a rather interesting one. We don't go in much further with this, right? There's an archaeological site in Arizona, which dates to around this time, with a distinctive black layer, indicating substantial environmental changes beginning around 10,800 years BC. That's around, if you add 2,000 years onto that, right, it's slightly different from this date that we're talking about, 13,000 years ago. But there are events out there that are distinctive, that are different, that are alternative to the context of our understanding, right? You know, when you, I'm going to make a comment now that you can either agree or disagree with, right? Nagasaki and Hiroshima, a few decades later, people started moving into the old city of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You know, the bombs dropped. It was the 8th and the 6th and the 8th of August 1945. These two bombs, I think it was Fat Boy and a Little Boy, wasn't it? And these two bombs were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but Pierce recovered, right? Those atomic bombs really didn't do much to human history, right? What I'm trying to say is that when something hits from the heavens, it does a lot more than an atomic bomb can do. And I think we should be very wary, and we should think about that. I actually think, you might disagree with me, but if all the atomic bombs were dropped on the planet tomorrow, right, I think as a human civilization, we would survive, right? But we would not survive an asteroid strike. You might think I'm talking out of my posterior on that one, but I do believe that these events in the past have been pole changing, have been alternatives to changing mankind's trajectory, right? So there's that. The next one I want us to talk about is this one. This might be a little bit of a longer one, but archaeologists find stunning link between Halley's Comet and ancient Christianity. Well, I wouldn't call it ancient Christianity, but it's a nice little article, yeah. And guess when this is dated to? This article that was printed is actually dated to the 11th of February, 2022. So this is weeks old, which is great. I love it when you do something really, really new like this. So,
Carl, can I ask a question?
No, you can't. Go away. Right, ask the question.
We've had no images for the last 10 minutes. Is that the plan?
You're not meant to.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying you're not meant to. I didn't want you to have
That's fine. That's fine. I just want to establish that was intentional. Okay, carry on.
I'm glad you said that, Bill, because I keep telling you that story, don't I? I gave that lecture the one night, and I kept referring to slides, and at the end somebody said, "Why have we been looking at the same slide for a whole hour?"
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that, Bill. No, what I wanted to do now was just sort of talk and just sort of, we've seen those early images. We know what Halley's Comet looks like in the sky. I saw it in the sky, and basically Halley's Comet itself. There's archaeologists believe that there's an extraordinary link between the power and the emergence and the importance of Christianity, right? In the 500s, for example. Halley's Comet is one of the most famous comets ever to have graced the skies. It's definitely borne out throughout human history. It's stunned. It's prevailed. It's allowed human beings to sort of really take a note of up our heavens. You know, there's not just stars, and there's not just the moon and the sun. There's other things going on up there, right? And having a weird comet flying through the sky, right, is a really weird thing. And what people must have thought about asteroids just bouncing into the earth and just sparking up in the sky and so on. All of these things are massively important to people's understanding of their address within the world and the significance or insignificance of their being. It's said, for example, that the first observation of Halley's Comet was once believed to have been in the year 239 years BC. However, whilst people looked into their records, we think that the Greeks making this record, right, may have actually seen that a comet was recorded 466 years BC. The Chinese in their own annals recorded in 239 BC. A certain writer Xin Shi and Wei Huisheng, they wrote down in 239 this comet in the sky, but the ancient Greeks in other records that they looked at in 466 made an observation of a comet, Halley's Comet of all comets, 466 years BC. And we've seen the other images that have come up earlier on, telling us about this beautiful phenomenon of Halley's Comet. So what we do find is that Halley's Comet, we do believe that Halley's Comet returns every 75 years. And then Halley's Comet is next recorded in 164 BC. It's then recorded in 87 years BC. And strangely enough, a comet is then recorded in 44 BC. That must have been a different comet. So its presence in the night sky has been linked to a number of events on the Earth. You guys don't have the luxury of me giving lectures about the Mongols, but I gave a lecture to my young explorers, the Mongols, on Saturday. And Genghis Khan, otherwise known as Genghis Khan, saw Halley's Comet in 1206. And it's believed that when Genghis Khan, you can imagine Genghis Khan in his yurt looking up at the sky thinking, I've had enough of being surrounded by women. And then he thought, right, I'm going to conquer the world. And it was in 1206 that Genghis Khan decided to dispatch his Mongols in an invasion of the world. You know, that's where it was. Another amazing event as well that is blamed upon Halley's Comet is when Mehmed II had conquered Constantinople in 1453. In 1456, that omen that he saw in the sky led Mehmed the Great to actually push his hordes into Europe, into the Balkans. So, you know, Halley's Comet can be blamed for lots of things, including sort of huge hordes of Mongols and Turks heading into Europe. But we can also think of Halley's Comet having a key link with early Christianity, and early Christianity of all places in Roman Britain. And also, traditionally, it is thought that a man named Patrick visited Ireland from Roman Britain in the late 400s, managing to convert a pagan population to the religion of Christ during his travels. Interestingly, that, however, but for years, researchers have questioned the legitimacy of this story, right? You know, what's legitimate about the story of Patrick going over from Roman Britain in the 400s to convert the Irish to Christianity? Now, the people have been wondering about that. The reality wasn't like that. St. Patrick did not travel all over Ireland. He was confined mainly to the northern part of Ireland. Here we go. Also, we know that other people were teaching at the same time. And we also know that even by a century after his death, paganism still survived in Ireland. So did Patrick really convert the Irish to Christianity? It said, or, you know, all the Irish to Christianity, it said no. So what exactly happened, right? Now, this is really interesting. Scientists have since delved further into why Ireland may have eventually transitioned from its native religion and whatever Patrick brought over with him, over to the events of Halley's Comet and extreme weather events that occurred at the same time. So basically, the Christians are coming over and saying, in 540, the Christians are coming over to Ireland and they're saying, look, you are terrible people. Look at that omen in the sky. You need to convert to paganism. Oh, the greatest doom will be the portent of your ending. And they all said, right, we'll all convert to Christianity. So this is what this survey is actually saying. This extraordinary comet would have had an effect on the climate. This is what they're saying, on the climate. You know, it's almost as if when the comet is seen, terrible things happen. And actually, the year 540 is an important date in history. It's also the date of a huge plague that hits Europe in the reign of Justinian, the Justinian plague in the 540s. Now, the Justinian plague is likely to have wiped out up to 250 million people across Europe, right? And this is at the same time when a massive dust cloud appears in the Earth's atmosphere, all associated with Halley's Comet. So what's happened is that we know this huge dust cloud appears. Not only that it's been written about is because in the ice cores in the Arctic and the Antarctic, you find this dust, you find this layer of dust around the 540s. Analyzing the particles and air bubbles trapped in the ice, what's been found that the Halley's Comet, the dust cloud, and Christianity and the Justinian plague is all linked together. The Greenland ice core samples tell us that there was extraterrestrial dust. No, Roger, not aliens, extraterrestrial dust, which has come from some kind of celestial event, extraterrestrial dust. It may have been that the comet may have come very close, and some of the dust may have actually gone into our atmosphere. Right, this is Halley's Comet. Come into the Earth's atmosphere, and we know it's well established by the 540s. Back then, they described the stars as dancing, and that's basically due to there being a lot of dust. So that must have been quite weird, looking up into the heavens, you know, looking up into the heavens. So what we're saying is these terrible things are happening in the 540s, right? We've got ice core evidence in the 540s, but none of you have asked, when was that precisely the time that Halley's Comet actually jeweled our skies? Now, what we do know is that in the 530s, Halley's Comet, we do believe that's the moment that Halley's Comet was first seen. And it's likely that there was dust left behind by the comet, and that dust kept appearing, and it was associated with the Halley's Comet for at least a whole decade. And this significant trail of debris remained in our atmosphere, causing terrible things to happen. Some places in the cometary dust trail, it just caused things to change.
Can I stop you there?
Go.
If there was dust in the atmosphere, it didn't come from Halley's Comet, because any dust would be burnt up in the atmosphere and appear as just shooting stars. So the dust must have come from some other event. It didn't come from a comet.
Now, this is the thing. Now, this is what I was thinking. This is exactly what I was thinking. But these scientists are quite clear. This was it. This was this year, that there's this celestial dust, this dust that's come from somewhere. Now, I think that's quite a shift of saying, look, you know, if Halley's Comet is going to leave this dust in our atmosphere, it must have been something linked to Halley's Comet to have caused that dust in the atmosphere. I think you're dead right. I think you're right. I think you're very right. Something else happened. So, but it's obviously associated with Halley's Comet. The scientific evidence appears to be backed up by accounts from history. So what we've got people saying we first saw Halley's Comet in 530, and then for at least 10 years there's this dust and there's stars dancing, and there's this terrible bloody plague, and all these things seem to go wrong. One medieval historian described a comet so vast that the entire sky seemed to be on fire. It must have it came very close to the Earth. While the Romans also observed a bizarre change in the landscape, a pale sun that had lost its heat and vigor. So things were not good. Throughout the 530s and the 540s, this is what happens. There's famines. There's this terrible Justinian plague. There's references of stars falling out the sky and comets in the sky from the 530s and the 540s. So interestingly enough, there's more than one comet that's seen in our skies. It's not just Halley's Comet. Now, I don't know anything about comets. I haven't got Patrick Moore to phone up and ask, but I'm sure that seeing more than one comet over that period of time would have been quite shocking. Now, together, it's suspected that these were enough to convince people that the religion they used to believe in wasn't working anymore, and that they needed to leave for something new. And in a sense, Christianity would have brought this message that these are symbols of the world ending, and now was the time to switch religion. You can imagine me as a preacher, can't you? You can say, people, the disasters in the sky, your famine is caused by your sense of paganism. Death and doom upon you if you don't convert to Christianity. Thou shalt doom us all. Convert, save us all, save our souls. And by the 540s, everything was fine. And it's because you converted to Christianity. And Roger, because you're a pagan, right? Unless you convert to Christianity, we're all going to die. I think Roger's gone because I haven't insulted him for a while, and I haven't even mentioned him because he's a bit vague. But anyway, so it's believed that in the 540s, that's the time that people really converted to Christianity, because there were preachers going around saying, "Look, we are doomed. We are doomed, and you've got to save the world. You've got to save Ireland." And this is what happened. I could do that. I could be pretty good at that. Bill, can you give me a job going around my steg telling people of their bad ways? Good. Are you still there, Bill?
I'm still here.
Good.
Only
So,
two of us.
what do you mean only two of you?
Oh, and Richard, I think.
Where's Rog?
I don't know. We can't see Richard. We can't see Roger.
Oh my God, I don't want Roger. Roger's still there.
Good.
Yeah, there he is. And
Oh, there
Richard's
you
still, I've muted Richard because nobody wants to hear from Rich. Anyway, carrying on. See, Rog. So these comets, in other words, were harbingers of doom. And these were celestial wanderers. The celestial phenomenon goes, comets are impressive, bright blotches of light with long, beautiful tails, suddenly appearing to blaze across the sky before fading away just as unexpectedly as they arrived. But that would cause people to go into fear that there's something entirely alien to our belief and being. Comets are not one-time visitors. This is the thing. Now, this is the key thing. You know, we talk about Jesus Christ, and we talk about Jesus Christ being a soothsayer, or we talk about Jesus Christ being a great curer, Jesus Christ being this, Jesus Christ being a man of good. All these different things, all these different names have been given to Jesus Christ, and it might have been that he learned all these things. Could you imagine if there was a comet in the sky when Jesus Christ was around? Hang on a minute. If it's 75 years and Halley, there was a different comet. When was the next? Oh, that'd be really good to know, wouldn't it? So if Jesus Christ had known about sort of the trajectories of comets, you could say, if you people don't turn to God, and me being the son of God, terrible things will happen to you. And if you've got that knowledge, you can be very supreme, and that knowledge can be very, very powerful. Ancient stargazers had little information to work with, having only seen a particular comet once in a human lifetime, and then it disappears, and then it comes back again. If somebody gets that information, the seemingly transient and unpredictable behavior of comets rendered them completely mysterious, as they did not seem to fit in with what people felt and what people believed. Rather than being viewed as beautiful and intriguing, as we've mentioned, they are beautiful trailblazers up in the sky. Comets were instead regarded as omens of impending doom. You look at Harold, the poor bugger. Halley's comet is seen in the sky, and a few months later he's dead. A reputation that took many centuries and the efforts of many astronomers to overcome. So, people might have been this sort of checkered thing that, comets are either good or bad. And humans have been captivated by comets for much of history, and have probably been gazing at them longer than any archaeological record can testify. What we've seen is there's been prehistoric rock paintings that might record comets. There are various portrayals in early rocks. We've got carvings on rocks in Scotland dating back to over 3,000 years ago, which have comet-like shapes found in rock carvings. You know, when we did cup and ring marks last week, we come up with various different theories. And it's quite strange that, you know, you might think that maybe on one or two of those rocks that these comets, these asteroids are actually recorded. That's something that nobody mentioned last week, and we didn't even go there. What we've got in Babylon, in ancient Babylon, for example, astronomy was first being practiced over 2,000 years ago. And there are detailed records in clay tablets. The one clay tablet we've got, that sort of clay tablet that we've seen at the beginning, and Roger described it as a load of silly dots on a load of rubbish, right? That is the first recording on a tablet of these wonderful comets. The Chinese astronomers, here we go, we're fascinated by comets. You know, we've got what we do see is that we've got recordings of Halley's comet, but we got recordings of Halley's comet over 2,200 years ago. But the Chinese are actually recording other comets. 11 starting again. The Chinese are recording other comets 3,000 years ago. So, you know, there's been a massive appreciation of these comets and the tales that are out there. And basically, what we do see, this great almanac of history, comet gazing for a long stretch of history, listed with details of the catastrophes or disasters thought to be associated with each comet, illustrating the dread and fear once caused by these comets, harbingers of doom. So you know, we could talk about Aristotle in the 300s and this sort of mentioning of these comets. Basically, what Aristotle believed over 2,300 years ago was that the Earth was at the center of the universe, with the moon, sun, and the other solar system planets known at the time orbiting it. This view left no room for comets. So Aristotle suggested that they were windy exhalations from the Earth that reached out into our atmosphere. But he was still recording them, viewing comets as atmospheric phenomena. Made it easier to connect their appearance to earthy, and it basically made people sort of feel a bit happier with them. Aristotle's theory provided fertile ground for the fear and superstition that plagued comets for centuries. So, you know, people started to believe, you know, they were the evils of Earth, being seen in the sky, and we must undo those things. So what we got is lots of people, lots of writers in the period of the Renaissance in the 14, 15, 1600s, sort of telling us a little bit more about these comets, making us understand them. Our understanding of comets experienced a dramatic leap forward away from harbingers of doom in 1577. And it was saying that great comets were rare, but they were exceptionally bright, exceptionally important. The great comet of 1577 was as bright as Venus and boasted a tail that stretched over a patch of sky some 40 times the diameter of the full moon. So that's going to be so if there's no moon at this minute. I thank God we got rain at last, but that you can imagine that would be quite fearsome. It really, really would. But astronomers are telling us not to fear after 1577. So what I want us to do now, I want us to go back into what we were doing, and I want us to just mention this, and I want us to go to that village I wanted to do tonight. Finally, the great debate about the nature of comets, atmospheric phenomenon as celestial bodies, was settled. But yeah, there's still some fear about them. I got to be honest with you. There was a bit of fear when I was in school when Halley's Comet was said to be visited. But this was only the beginning, a new era of inquiries about comets, planets, and the fundamental physics that governs their motions. And this is what we've got now. We're trying to understand them a lot better. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to mention about this village. this is an article from 2020. A comet may have destroyed a Paleolithic village 12,800 years ago. Now, it's again referring to a comet. Let's call it an asteroid. And this was a village in Syria. And this is 12,800 years ago. This is close to that point of the Younger Driest. If we can remember the Younger Driest beginning 30,000 years ago, 12,800 years ago isn't too far off. So there's a village in Syria known as Bu Hareya in Syria. It's known for artifacts commenting early adoption of agriculture in the region. So in other words, that's rather interesting. Comets seen in the sky, early agriculture, nice. It may also be recognized as the only known human settlement to have been hit by a fragment of, it's saying, a comet. The site now under the waters of Lake was quickly excavated between 1972 and 1973 before the construction of the Abuk Dam that flooded the area. During the excavations, archaeologists realized that there were really two sites, one on top of the other. The first was a Paleolithic settlement of hunter-gatherers, and the second was a farming town with new buildings of a different style. So that's very interesting, isn't it? Suddenly, you've got a very small crude settlement, and then suddenly the next village is a really there's no transition period. It's suddenly built as a proper village or a proper town back then. So after 12,800, before 12,800, it was a small sort of out of the way hunter-gatherer settlement, and now after 12,800, it was a proper nice little town. What caused that to happen? A new analysis of samples of soil and artifacts salvaged from the original excavation has revealed a surprising finding. The early site of Abu Hareya was indirectly hit and destroyed by fragments of an asteroid that, like they're saying again, comet, that slammed into the Earth about 12,800 years ago. The researchers think upon entering the Earth's atmosphere, the already fractured comet likely broke up into several more pieces, many of which didn't reach the ground. Instead, they produced a string of explosions in the atmosphere known as airbursts. Each airburst, like the Tunguska in the early 1900s, the Tunguska asteroid that hit, it was like a mini nuclear explosion in Siberia. And this is probably, that was an airburst. It was just there, and it flattened all these trees and everything. It was disastrous. Each airburst was as powerful as a nuclear blast, instantaneously vaporizing the soil and vegetation underneath, producing powerful shock waves that destroyed everything for tens of kilometers around. The village of Abu Hareya was hit by one of these shock waves. The archaeologists are saying as follows. They said, when we dug the site just before the flooding in 1973, they noticed that there was heavy burning in one area. But of course, back then wasn't thinking that comets or asteroids or anything of that kind had hit the village. It now turns out that heavy burning was the result of the entire village going up in smoke as a result of this airburst incinerating the whole place suddenly, just like that. It's incinerated. So what they've done, they've got all these scientists together to look at these samples, and what they found is that tiny pieces of what's called melt glass. So when you've got the silica and all the rest of it, because glass didn't exist in 12,800 years ago, we didn't produce glass, so it's natural, right? So what this is all sort of minerals that have been vitrified, made into a type of glass. This was found there, small bits of vaporized soil that solidified quickly after the explosion. They found melt glass again among the seeds and cereal grains recovered from the site, as well as splattered in the adobe. So in other words, it was so sudden, so rapid that everything heated up, and there you go. Most of these bits of melt glass are between 1 and 2 millimeters in diameter, so too small for any humans to make anyway. The team also found concentrations of microscopic nanodiamonds. We come across nanodiamonds before when we were looking in Greenland. Nanodiamonds, this sort of where you get intense heat beyond anything that we can sort of like a cosmic blast, something from the heavens that's creating diamonds to be created. We found the glass splashed on little pieces of bone that were by the half, so we know that the molten glass had landed in this village while people were living there. So it must have been a terrible, this sort of everything sort of forced into a vacuum at temperatures, right, of 2,200 degrees C. To create temperatures of 2,200 degrees C back then wasn't possible. We were not able to get those temperatures. So we're talking about molten grains of minerals that are being created by this huge blast, created by an extraterrestrial piece of rock. You have to use very sophisticated scientific analysis to see these things, but once you see them, it's undoubtedly that you're confronted by something. The melt glass required enormous heat, far beyond anything that a group of hunter-gatherers living in the small community could have generated themselves. Natural sources such as fires of volcanism have also been ruled out because there's no evidence of that there. Lightning, you would have had to have lightning blasts, so many lightning blasts in one place to actually create this. So these temperatures would turn your car into molten pool of metal in less than a minute. And interestingly enough, it's saying that the Younger Dryas boundary strewn field. So it's likely that this could be part of that much bigger event that we've mentioned, this sort of Driest period. And we mentioned this site in Arizona having a black layer across it. Here's another point. It's likely that 10% of the entire woodland and forests on the planet were wiped out. So if this is all linked in, causing a change to our human line. So these people, instead of becoming hunter-gatherers, and again, this event caused people to become farmers because they needed to farm now. There wasn't enough food around. They needed to plant and grow things. We already knew that change for hunting and gathering coincided into farming quite rapidly, and this is very important. So we already knew that something special was going on. So radiocarbon dating at this site, Abu Hurayra, revealed that the village was rebuilt very shortly after the impact by those that actually survived. So there were survivors. There was absolutely no change in cultural equipment, but people decided to panic and actually decided to build something very, very different. So all these celestial events, all these celestial shocks are changing things forever. So what I want us to mention now is we'll just end this in the utterly changed climatic circumstances they began to farm. They started to cultivate fields of rye, and then in time wheat and barley, and eventually they also started into livestock keeping with sheep and goats. In time, the thing developed into an enormous settlement with thousands of inhabitants, all overnight and all suddenly, because people needed to change the way they lived because of strikes from asteroids and comets. And finally, the last one I want us to do, right? The last one, and this village itself, if anyone wants to actually look any more about this, it's a Paleolithic village in Syria, and I'll spell it out to you: Abu, A-B-U, Hurayra, H-U-R-E-Y-R-A. So that's that, and we go bingo. And I just want to mention this, when we started off with this, didn't we, Bill, about Halley's Comet? Harold is crowned King of England. Harold is crowned King of England on the 6th of January, 1066. Isn't that your birthday, Bill?
Not quite.
I thought it was the 6th. When is it? It's the 4th.
Well, what? My birthday, not the 1st.
I always thought it was the 6th. Oh, that's why I always miss it. Here we go. Harold is crowned King of England on the 6th of January, 1066. King Edward's funeral was that very same morning. We see the new king sat on a throne with nobles to the left and Archbishop Stigand to the right. We'll show you that image in a moment. At the far side is cheered on by the masses. On the far right, Halley's Comet appears in the sky. People think it is an evil omen and grow terrified. News of the comet brought to Harold. Beneath him, the ghostly fleet of ships appear in the lower border, a hint of the Norman invasion to come. And this is what we're going to show you. We're going to, come on, let's have that. Come on. We're gonna show you this image. It's nice to end on. And let's show you this image. Here we go. Let's let these women in. They do my head in, but you know, Anne's one of them. And here we go. Let's just show you this image. Screen start. And here we go. And let's show you that image. And last one. And where are we? Oh God, I just got right there. Right. So what we've got Harold there. He's crowned. Right. He's there. He's being crowned. You've got the people looking and going, "Oh my God, look at that! That's terrible. That's terrible." There's Halley's Comet up in the sky, and there it is up in the sky, and the Halley's Comet, and down below is these ghostly ships that are going to be the ships that take Harold from the throne on the 14th of October in the year 1066. And I remember going to a lecture in Cardiff. I had a really boring childhood. I used to go to lectures when I was 10 in the university in Cardiff. And one of the lectures was about the new evidence to do with the Bay of Tapestry. And that King Harold was actually killed by an axe and not an arrow through his eye. I thought I'd mention that. Anyway, so I wanted to show you that. And there is Halley's Comet on the Bay of Tapestry. The stellar event that and this is there. And there's Harold. There he's being crowned. And then somebody's whispering to him and saying, "Hey, Harold, have you? There's this thing up in the sky. It means that something's going to happen, and you're not going to be king for too long." And there it is. So what we're going to do, I'm glad you saw that image at the end. And one of you is going to say, "Well, there's the image." And what we're going to do, we're going to ask if it, and actually, Bill, that worked okay, didn't it?
Yeah. A couple of things crossed my mind. If you plot, if you start at 1066 and go back periods of 76 years backwards and then forward to present day, I wonder if there's any historical record of any influences possibly, which could have affected the way people thought and did things. 76 years after what? 1066 is what? 1132. I wonder.
It's 75 years, wasn't it? Hang on. I just
it's 76.
Is it okay? I can be corrected. So yeah. Halley's. If I type in Halley's Comet dates, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to type in Halley's Comet dates. Right, here we go. And if I type in, do I Halley's Comet? Hang on. Oh, let's like Halley's Comet. Yeah, it says we're both right, Bill. It's every 75 or 76 years. So okay. We're both right. Yeah, so don't worry, that's fine.
I just wonder whether anyone did the exercise actually to actually plot these against history to see if there's what happened then was any sort of significant events which could have been influenced by what people saw in the sky. I don't know.
How can Edmund Halley have discovered this in 1758 when it had already been known about for 2,400 years by the ancient Greeks?
He was the first one to link them together.
Ah, right. Okay.
He had phenomenon. Something appeared in the sky every 76 years, and he actually found out what it was. This comet came round by tracking back on the record, you know. Yeah. Okay, I won't prolong.
Hang on a minute. You've got a point here, right? If it's hang on a minute. I've got to write this down. Hang on, you've hit upon something quickly. So if it's 1758, then if you go back from 1758, it goes to that takes you to 1860. Bill, listen to this, right? Bill, if you take 75 or 76 off that figure, 1680, what happens around 1606?
Battle of the Nile?
No, the Great Tsunami.
1806, was it? Oh.
No, 1606.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yes. Sorry.
It's 1606. So if you take 75 years of 1680, right, and you go back, that gives you approximately 1604 or 1605. That's not too far off the Great Tsunami date of 1606.
what I'm saying is just an interesting exercise to do, because you've got a fixed point, i.e. 1066, and to track back 76-year period, either way, backwards and forwards, to see what happened then. It's an interesting project, that's all I'm saying. For somebody to do.
That's your project for next week.
Yeah.
I want you to tell us if Halley's Comet was seen in the time of Jesus Christ.
Yes, of course it was. I think. I'll check back. I'll do that. Yeah, somebody do. Keep me off street corners. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, then that's you done. Right, that's you. Oh, yeah, I was trying to look that up then, and it wouldn't work. Right, Steve. I know you're joining us next week, Steve, because you think I'm amazing, apparently. And Steve, anything that you want to say?
The only thing really just following on, I think, from what in terms of, I thought the alleged birth of Christ and the three wise men, there was some form of comet in the sky. Now, I don't know whether it was...
God, there was.
No. Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Astronomers don't believe it's a comet. They believe it was a conjunction. In other words, a lining up of two of the brightest planets in the sky. Probably Venus and Jupiter. That's what they think, rather than a comet.
I thought it was a comet.
No.
Oh, they don't. Right. What we need is those dates worked out. Right. We'll start. Right. Okay. Hang on a minute. Hang on. This wouldn't. If it was 44 years BC, right? Hang on a minute. 44. Then you've got 32 left over. That's when Jesus Christ is put on the cross.
Yeah, he's born in 4 AD, wasn't he? They think.
And he died sometime around 31, 32, which is
right. Around that time. Yeah.
So Bill, hang on a minute. If you take if this time is the 75 and not on 76, it puts it directly more or less at the time that Jesus Christ is nailed on the cross.
Well, it's worth doing the exercise, actually tracking back. Yeah, of course it is.
Right, Bill. I want a major event for every single date from 44 B. It's not going to be. It's only going to be about 20, isn't it, Bill?
Yes.
Right. That's your. And you can't come back next week unless you find a major event on each of those dates.
Okay, I'll try.
Or you can add one a bit, sort of one way or the other. Or
I'll make one up.
You're talking about the Battle of the River Nile. That was in 1797, was it?
Around 1799, I think it was, around there.
Okay, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay then. Right, Phil, are you done tonight?
Yeah, I'm done, thank you.
Right, okay. Right. What about Richard?
Am I on now? I don't know if I'm even on. Can you hear me?
Well, you are on. You are. Go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
The only one thing I was thinking about, just saying they're like harbingers of doom.
Yeah.
When you see a comet in the sky.
Yeah.
Well, surely a lot of people thought they were lucky. The Normans must have thought it was a lucky thing.
Yeah.
And if you're sort of trying to bring them in with sort of battles and things like that.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to lose, haven't they? And somebody's got to win.
It's auspicious. It's auspicious.
It's auspicious. He's a very naughty boy. Yeah, that's true. Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, that's true. So Rich is completely right. Somebody had to win and somebody had to lose. Well, in Roger's case, he's a complete loser anyway. But we'll see what he's got to say. Rog.
Oh, look at that dog.
Hello.
Yeah, lovely. Yes, the comet thing, the dust would have come from an asteroid more than a comet. This comet's just dirty ice.
What?
A comet is just dirty ice.
Right. So the comet is dirty ice.
Yeah. So the dust coming down would have been more like an asteroid.
You see what I mean? It's a bit dodgy, isn't it? A bit dodgy. Oh God. So hang on a minute. I thought the difference between a comet is something that's always going to be there, and an asteroid isn't.
What happens to either one?
Oh,
A comet is rock and ice, and it does degrade with the centuries as it goes around the sun.
Or if you insult Will Smith's missus, you got to slap across the face. Right, okay. Steve, anything you want to say?
Nothing else from me tonight, Carl. It's been very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
So
now.
Next week, that's what I was going to say. Right, hang on. Next week, it's alternate technology. That's what I was trying to say. Don't forget to chuck your 32 quids over all of you, including you, Stephen. I know you're a bit tight, so don't forget.
Yeah.
Right, so Steve, Rog,
Ta-da.
Phil,
Bye.
Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.
Yeah.
Roger, I love you lots, really, and I love you, Steve, as well.
Cheers, guys.
You know, you got to take the mickey out. I'll be seeing you in a few weeks as well, Steve, because I've got to come and do the class live.
Forward to that, Carl.
And I'm going to dress up. I'm going to dress up because Jessica's loaning me a dress.
A nice sequined one.
Yeah, you love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. See you, Steve.
See you next week, guys.
See you next
Bye.
week. Bye. 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 Right. Okay. That's me done. Actually, that worked out okay. The animated Bayer tapestry on YouTube brings this tapestry to life. It's fantastic. Right. Who asked you?
Oh, it's really good though. When they have the comet, it goes past in the beginning. It goes, and it creates everything as if it's come to life. It's 4 minutes long, but it's worth it. It goes through the whole tapestry. I likes it too.
And there's a dog there as well. Right. So, who's going to contact Pat and let her know?
I don't have her contact details. Have you, Anne?
Anne,
You turned me off. You turned me off, Carl.
I didn't. Don't you tell your lies.
You did.
Don't you tell your lies.
Am I still turned off?
Oh, yeah. Well, hang on a minute. What? Look, who cares about you, Rich?
Oh.
Hey, I just thought I'd say. Right, who's gonna phone Pat?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go on, phone her. I'll have a chat with Richard. No, I won't. I can't be bothered to speak to Richard.
Oh, don't be like that.
Well, you know, Richard didn't help me with my article in the Barron District News this week. I'm gutted.
Oh.
He said, I'm not going to give you any stories. I'm not going to have my name printed in the Barron District News, he said.
I gave you plenty of stories.
Yeah, and I used them and I credited them to myself. I said, I remember when I was a lad, there was lifeguards and geishas using the pub. And there was a woman called Pauline who used to work behind the bar. I used all that. But Pauline wouldn't put up with any crap, you see, because she said, she said, I'm in love with Richard, she said, and I'm not going to put up with any crap off you guys. And that was it, really.
I told my husband today, I said, talking about Tesco's in Culverhouse Cross.
Oh.
And I said to him, I spent many an afternoon, many an evening in Culverhouse Cross with Carl.
I bet you he was really pissed off.
Oh, sorry. Pat, are you coming on tonight? Oh, you are. Okay. I'll ask her to let you in. Yeah, okay.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, she's there.
No, she's not.
Oh, she's now. Anyway, I said I spent many an evening at Tesco's and the recycling plant with Carl.
Yeah.
I said he was having my teenage childhood, my teenage years again.
Yeah, it was.
And he said, oh, that's good. And I said, yeah, fish and chip shops, you know, recycling. Stavaloys. It was fun, you know.
And
it was totally innocent.
was. It was. What was the name they used to call that guy in the fish and chip shop?
Oh, oh, there was two fish and chip shops.
You used
Oh,
to
the
call
one-
it Mr. Funny Buggers, didn't you, or something?
They were Muslim, weren't they?
Yeah, they used to. Didn't one?
They did Ramadan. They did Ramadan.
I think one of them asked you to marry him, didn't he? So
I don't know what you said, but they were always lots of commotion going on out the back, and
oh yeah, there was. Yeah, there was. They
he was trying to sell his fish and chips.
Do you remember that day he gave us these Savoys and they hadn't even been cooked?
Oh, the Savoys. He always had Savoys, yeah.
Didn't we have to cook them or something? I think we had to boil them. Yeah, I think we boiled them.
Oh, well, you like the battered Savoy, I think.
Oh, I like a bit of battered
Battered
salmon.
sausage and Savoys, yeah. They were like, they warmed up in water.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be a freaking vegetarian. Christ.
Oh, well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Right. Okay. Anne and Pat and Richard. Are you going to continue with these evenings? Because I'm going to say it because you're. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I got to check something. Anne, you've only just paid your money, have you?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No, this is about Pat. Pat.
But it doesn't matter if she wants to give it a break and then we'll come back.
Oi! Shut up, Pat. Pat.
All right.
Why Pat not answering?
You want her? She's on mute.
Hi, I'm here.
Right, Pat, can you send us 32 shekels over, please?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to us, really. We'll have to decide as a group if we're going to carry on through that.
Well, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. You've just started a new batch.
I know.
Well, no, you've been doing it.
But you know, it's up to Jess what she wants to do. Really, she's got heavy load coming on this month.
Oh no, she's done it. She's handed a dissertation in. It's fine.
She's getting graduated though.
Yeah. Well, do you want a medal? Yeah, she is being graduated, and what it is, she's borrowing my graduation outfit from Highlands and Islands. She is.
No, she's not.
She is. She instead of paying out thousands of pounds on a graduation gown, she's using mine. No, I just thought I'd make that up. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. If you want to do another.
Yeah, I haven't. Shut up. Let me talk. I haven't even asked Pat if she wants to. Pat, are you continuing?
Yes.
All right. Well, don't forget the money then.
Okay.
Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to. I've got to. What am I going to do? I'm going to. Oh right. I'm going to ask Jess what we're doing tonight. Jess. Apparently, Jesse's getting a paracetamol. Well, all right then. Fair
He's
enough.
muted.
Well, hang on a minute. Oh yeah, I've got to give her. Hang on. She should have control. Jess likes having a bit of control. Here we go. Make co-host. There you go. Yes. Right, Jess, are you there? I think she's asked to unmute. Well, she'll be on in a minute. Right, so Anne, you should be having that new bloke. You should be having that new bloke, Jerry, starting next week.
Oh yes.
Do you know he's actually 7 foot tall?
Oh, he's not, is he?
Yes, he's 7 foot tall. Yeah.
Well, that's all right. My brother's 6'5", 6, something like that. I'm used to tall people.
He's 7 foot tall. 7 foot. And he likes a pint as well. He likes a pint.
Oh, well, you'll
and
be able to have a pint then.
I understand Dorothy's coming tomorrow. Is she?
I hope so. I haven't, I haven't said anything, but she said she's coming.
Right now if that's the case, and you've got those two new, next week and Dorothy, then that should be fine, you know.
Yeah, and well, I'm wondering about this lady now. She couldn't come last week with the bone, that thing she found in the haystack. But she, I need to speak to her
Oh, can I ask what people are doing one looking in haystacks? What they doing? You know what I mean?
No, she got sheep.
I've got sheep, but I don't find things in haystacks.
Anyway, oh.
Right, okay. Look, Jess, what are you doing tonight? I gotta finish that. I gotta close the blooming live feed now. Hang on, let's